friends, I wanted to show you how to blend with Melange paints. So I'm Carrie from Flipping Fabulous, and this will be a short video on how to blend with Melange ones. So this is a base coat of the one line. So the one line is an all-in-one line. You don't need to add a top coat, but it does make it really hard to blend. So the mineral line, which is the second line that they have, is what we can use to make it blend. This is a molding that I added. It's from Redesign with Prima. And I'm just going to kind of go ahead and, this was a spot on the piece that was missing something. This is not a nice piece. You know, I bought it and it was a cool piece, but it's not a super nice piece. Like this right here is missing a handle, and I tried to take the handle off to, you know, move it down, and the handles wouldn't even come off. I mean, the wood was just chipping away. So I'm gonna have a whole bunch of different brushes here, and I just like to have a lot of brushes so that way I am not struggling to find one when my paint is drying. I've got my continuous water mister. This is my Fusion continuous water mister. I'm using Nirvana and Knapsack Khaki. These two colors blend really well. I could even probably grab, you know, a third color in there that would blend well between the two, but for right now I'm just going to use these two. I've got one of my Stallmaster brushes. This one is fairly old, but it'll still work, and I'm just going to show you how I'm going to just put kind of a base coat of the Nirvana on. Okay, so I'm not going to blend this coat. I'm just going to get a nice even coat where I want the most of this color to kind of show. We can always add more, but sometimes it's just kind of nice to have a nice little coat in there. So one thing I love about these brushes is that I don't have to worry about taping off underneath for the most part. Sometimes I'll mess up, but you know, they just have a nice line even when they're old like this one. They're just a nice brush. So this brush is probably a year old, and I use it all the time. I have several of these brushes though. I'm going to get right in those details so I don't have to worry about it. I can always get the tops of those drawers later. So that is going to be my base coat for that top drawer. These blend fairly easily, just like any line that doesn't have a top coat built into it. You know, I know that we all want to be able to blend lines that have top coats into them, and it's just not going to happen. I mean, I will tell you that Melange is the easiest line to blend that I've worked with. That's an all-in-one on the one line. It's called one because it's just one step. But it's still not super easy. I mean, it just takes so much time. So the payoff here is that you really need to seal this. Lisa does Dixie Belle, and she does not usually seal her finishes. And you know what she says is that, you know, some of them are just considered decorative finishes, but the other part of that is that most paints, once they cure, are pretty durable anyway. So unless it's a tabletop or, you know, a dresser top, you can get away with not sealing it. I will probably seal all of these just because I get a little paranoid. I just want to make sure they last. Okay, so this is fairly dry up here. So I'm going to go back in, and I've got two different brushes, and I've got two different colors. Okay. I'm going to take my mister and I'm going to spray it. Okay, I'm just going to do that top one, right? And I'm just going to kind of blend that in a little bit. Just kind of soften those edges. Add a little bit more up here because I know I'll need a little bit more. Just kind of work that in, okay? And I want to kind of match these sides, so I'll kind of just mimic one after the other. Okay, now I'm going to grab some khaki, and I didn't add any more water yet. See, I'm just kind of blending those two colors in. Now if I find that I'm ready and I like it, I'm going to take a very dry brush, there's nothing on there, and I'm just going to kind of, now this will be a little bit too, this lighting is not super good either, okay? But that's okay for a starter. Make sure you're finding colors that you know, have the same, that are going to look the same. I mean, you wouldn't want to blend bikini pink with restoration bronze. I mean, they just don't, they don't have the same base. You know, Sonnet is going to be one that's going to be hard to blend with. Okay, so I'm going to spray it again, just because I want to be able to work that in. So now you're going to have to decide how far out you want it. Like, I know that I want these to be kind of a mix of both. It's still nice and wet. And I kind of like this right here. So now I'm just going to kind of fade it in. This is my dry brush. Now I know I'm going to need darker blue over here, and that's okay, okay? Just get that middle blend going first, and then you can go back around that side. Okay. This one's a little bit trickier, of course, because it's missing that handle. Okay, got my dry brush. When it gets full of paint, then I'll want to you know, kind of get that off. So now I know that I want a little bit more blue up here. Over here, and this is still a little bit wet, so I think I'm going to let that sit. Oops, wrong one. I'm going to blend that back down. Got a little excited over there. Okay, so now on to the next drawer. So see the two differences in the drawers? This will look a little bit different when I come back and add some more blue around it, but for right now I'm happy with that. Okay, I'm going to spray this, and I'm going to add some khaki and some blue. See how nice those two colors blend? So I think half the battle with blending is finding colors that are going to be a good match for each other. I did not do a good job of spraying the water. Oop. Oh, that stinks. Okay, so I've got my blue. Grab my dryer brush, kind of bounce some off of that. a little, not quite what I wanted. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go onto my third drawer. While this up here kind of dries and settles down a little bit, I almost just put it in the wrong paint. Oh, I need to spray it. Okay, I'm going to move this around. I got a lot of blue on my khaki brush. Just getting this a little bit wet. Got a little bit too much water on there. I'm low enough that that's in my way. Got a little too much water. Okay, I'm going to go back in with my khaki brush. Okay, so this is a little messy over here. I'm going to kind of let that dry. Okay, so now I'm going to head back up to this top one, and it's not quite dry, so I may let it sit for a few more minutes, or I may just see what happens when I try to put in some of this blue over here. Oh, I think it's dry enough. Another one to this middle. Just kind of lightly touching the underside of that so it can get a little bit more blue in there. Under this drawer is a little tricky, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time with it. It's just, it doesn't matter that much. Okay, so that top drawer is pretty done. I may come back in and maybe soften this a little bit because that blue is not quite what I want. But all in all, it looks pretty okay. I wish this was a little bit more angled. There you go. This is on top of a custom table, and I'm get a little nervous that I'm going to tip the table over. So remember, I have 3 different brushes. I have my Nirvana brush, I have my Knapsack brush, and then I've got my dry brush. And this is getting a little bit dirty, which is why I have some extras out here. I'm just kind of constantly wiping that off. But if it stays dirty, I want to, I want to make sure that I am grabbing a different dry brush. I don't want to So that's pretty messy right there. I don't like that for sure. So I'm gonna go back in with my knapsack, and then I'm gonna find my dry brush and just kind of soften that out. So over these handles, I'm gonna add a little bit of gilding wax. My favorite is Prima's Eternal Gold, and that is how I like to do that. So now I'm just kind of going in, and the feet and the sides are really easy. They're not big empty sections. That makes them much easier to blend to me. Because I can just, I mean, that's an easy blend, and I've not put in a lot of work for it. Sometimes an optical illusion is just as easy. Okay, so that's a really pretty blend there. I'm going to continue to blend this side until I get what I want. Another thing to remember is if you can't get what you want, walk away from it. I mean, there's no point in continuing to add water to something that you don't like. It doesn't make sense. So you can see the bottom is just 1. This is 2. This is 3. These both have 2 coats. I kind of think that I want that to go out more. There, that's what I think I want more of. That looks better to me. Okay, now I'll do that bottom. Okay. I'm going to come over here. Originally I wanted a little bit of blue up to the handle, and I don't think I do. I think I want to switch gears a little bit. I think I would rather that was my dry brush, but it's not going to stay dry. So then I'm going to grab a different, this is a new dry brush, because my other one is just, it's not dry anymore. I just want to kind of work that in. That's the look that I'm happy with. Okay. A little piece of lint there. Okay, I'm worried my head's going to be in your way a little bit, but sorry, I got to work on this. paint's getting a little bit tacky, so I'm gonna just spray a little bit. You still see that when my head's like that? Sorry. Okay, I really like this bottom. Sorry, I had to run and I didn't see it. I really like this bottom part. Then I'm going to go along the bottom and just kind of dry brush some of the khaki, just to kind of give it a softer look at the bottom. Okay. I'm going to go up and I'm going to hit this side. I don't like that side, how it looks. That's a better look for me. Then maybe just add a little bit of, oops. So then I may go in and just add just a kind of a tiny bit of blue to my handles. I've not added any more to my brush, but that just barely touching it, just kind of giving it a little bit of a look. Yeah, I like that. This over here needs a little bit of work. Okay. I like this much better. I will have to come back over on this right here. I don't like how that looks, but I can't see it and have the camera out. So I'm just spraying my brush instead of adding more water to the piece. Sprayed it a little bit just to kind of manipulate it with this dry brush. I haven't added more paint to this blue in a really long time. It doesn't need any more. Okay, I like how that looks. Now I'm going to add just a touch more blue. Just hit that corner. Just to make it a little bit more dramatic. Okay. So that's a pretty good base blend. I'll have to, these lights aren't the best, so I'll have to just make sure I like it under regular light. You can see this, the difference between the two legs. You know, it just adds a little bit of interest to it. On the sides, I'm going to blend it out and put Blossom Flight Transfer. So hang out and you can see the finished product.